Life after death is not a possibility. Well, at least that's what one would assume. Call it a fountain of youth or the magic of immortality, but these astonishing creatures have the unique ability to either revive themselves or have the skilled ability to wear the veil of death. From snake to tardigrade, these guys will blow your mind until the mysterious number 1. Here are 10 animals that can live after death. Number 10. The octopus. Have you ever watched any Asian cuisine video where an octopus served on a platter seemingly comes to life when the soy sauce is poured on it? This is because each arm has a brain of its own, a neural tissue that runs along the length of the arm and controls the motion of that arm. When an arm is severed, that brain is still connected, and the arm will freakishly twist and contort. Many predators will continue to attack the moving arm, which becomes a decoy that can give the octopus time to get away. Much like when a lizard leaves behind its severed tail. It will continue to move and writhe until the cells die and it can't move any longer. Octopi can easily regenerate lost arms. Usually when a predator attacks, often they will not attack the main body and all of the vital organs. They'll attack the arms, as they are protecting the central body and thus the actual brain, and sometimes sever one. When the main brain of an octopus is killed, the arms will react the same way. This is an excellent survival trait. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell for 10 years of amazing luck. Number 9. The scorpions. Scorpions can consume huge amounts of food at one sitting, and they can go about 6 to 12 months without eating. Such a small critter going so long with as little as one insect a year, that truly is a wonder how they are alive even after what would seemingly be death for any other. They have a very convenient food storage organ and a very low metabolic rate, combined with a relatively inactive lifestyle. Scorpions are typically known to eat insects, but their diet can be extremely variable, just another key to their survival in so many harsh environments. When food is hard to come by, the scorpion has an amazing ability to slow its metabolism to as little as 1/3 of its average requirement. This survival tactic enables some species to use little oxygen and live on as little as a single insect per year. Number 8. The turritopsis. Imagine one day feeling too old and sick, and being able to reverse your aging by years. Mother Gothel is quacking with jealousy. The immortal jellyfish, also known as Turritopsis dohrnii, is a species of small, biologically apparently immortal jellyfish. They are found to be in temperate subtropical waters. It is one of a few and perhaps rare known cases of animals capable of reverting completely to a sexually immature colonial stage after having reached sexual maturity as an individual. After reaching sexual maturity, they have been known to prey on other jellyfish species at a rapid pace. If Turritopsis dohrnii jellyfish is exposed to an environmental stress, it's physically assaulted, or is sick or old, it can revert to the polyp stage, restarting a new polyp colony. It achieves this through the cell development process of transdifferentiating, which alters the differentiated state of cells and transforms them into new types of cells. Theoretically put, this cycle can go on indefinitely, effectively turning the jellyfish biologically immortal. Although in practice, some can still die. Number 7. The tardigrade. Tardigrades are tough critters. When conditions get nasty, they can dry out, reconfigure their bodies, and enter suspended animation, which is called desiccation, and can stay in this state for years. Whatever you throw at them, frozen temperatures, zero oxygen, high pressures, the vacuum of space, cosmic radiation, and even being boiled, they will survive it all. They look like adorable little bears with tiny feet and a rather cuddly appearance. Tardigrades are microscopic 8-legged animals that have been to the outer space and are even expected to survive the apocalypse. Their tendency to be so resistant is in part due to their unique protein in their body called the damage suppressor, which helps in protecting their DNA from being harmed by things like ionizing radiation, which is present in the soil, water, and vegetation. These indestructible creatures can survive long after every living being is wiped out. Talk about immortality. Number 6. The Siberian permafrost worms. Brought back from the dead, these Siberian worms are literally the living dead. A group of Russian scientists has successfully revived two species of tiny nematodes that they successfully discovered suspended in an icy chunk of Siberian permafrost. The worms, or more commonly known as roundworms, had been frozen for up to 42,000 years, since a time when much of the planet was covered in ice means they are literally from the Ice Age. But the fact is, they weren't dead. It was found that they were just cryogenically preserved. The researchers brought the worms back to a lab where they slowly and carefully, as not to hurt them, thawed them over several weeks. The researchers put them in petri dishes with food stored at 20 degrees Celsius as they warmed. The worms started wiggling, showing signs of life moving and eating. This makes it the first documented discovery of multicellular organisms having returned to functioning after being frozen in permafrost. These tiny beings survived after being dead for a long time. Might it become something for humans too? If you learned something new, don't forget to smash the like and subscribe buttons. Number 5. The chicken. Mike, the headless chicken, lived for about 18 miraculous months without a head after a farmer, in a failed attempt at slaughter, axed off his head and missed the jugular vein. Miracle Mike was fed a milk and water mixture through a dropper directly into his throat until he met his unexpected death over a year later when he choked on a kernel of corn. But a headless chicken has less to do with ghoulish behavior, but more so to do with skeletal anatomy. The skull of a chicken contains two huge openings for the eyes that allow the brain to be thrust upwards into the skull at the angle of around 45 degrees. This means that while some of the brain may be sliced away, a very important part remains, the part that controls the main body movement. While Mike happened to be a rather gruesome lucky one, a headless chicken can be expected to go on for about 15 minutes or so. Number 4. The fruit fly. Flies are extremely annoying, especially when they ruin a good picnic or just peaceful nap out on a summer day, constantly buzzing about on your fruity drinks or salads. And if that wasn't enough to bug you, these creepy crawlers have more means to stick around a lot longer. A rather common fruit fly may walk or even fly with its heads decapitated, a female fruit fly to be exact. This is due to the extra brain the cunning females have and the extra eyes they have hidden in their kidneys. Freaky, right? The males would still try to mate with a headless female, but without their feelers, they cannot hear the chirping of the male. As such, the flies can keep living for days and even weeks. My pick for today has a sugary syrup in its body, allowing it to live frozen. That being number 3, the wood frog. Frogs are pretty neat animals, even as common house pets. But there is something truly zombie-like about one of these species. Wood frogs, despite their fragile appearance and relaxed ways, have countless strategies to deal with the most severe climates this planet has to offer. Hibernation is one of the more common responses to the cold winter of temperate climates. After the frog finds living space that protects it from the winter weather and predators, the animal's metabolism slows dramatically, so it can shut itself down by the winter by utilizing its body's energy storage. When spring weather arrives, the animal wakes up and leaves this state of hibernation to get on with the business of feeding and breeding. They've got certain nucleating proteins that humans lack, so when our skin freezes, we just get frostbite. The frogs, however, have a rather interesting trick up their sleeves. They enter a state of suspended animation. Inside the cells, there is a thick, gooey, sugary syrup, while outside the cells, all the water is frozen. When the temperature rises and the ice melts, the frog thaws. Water slowly starts flowing back into the cells, blood starts flowing again, and the frog comes back to its normal life. Number 2, the snake. What would your first instinct be at encountering a snake? Chopping its head off, maybe? Think again. As a snake can deliver that one final bite with its severed head lying next to its lifeless body. But how can this be? The answer has to do with their physiology. Snakes are cold-blooded creatures by nature, which means they get heat from external sources, such as sunlight and warm surfaces. When it detects heat from the human contact nearby, it reacts. If a snake loses its head, it will die almost immediately. Bodily, that is. The body does not have oxygen in it to go on for hours, but the head sure does. The snake only moves about as retaliation to the pain and a means to defend itself, even after being decapitated. Wicked reflexes. Number 1. The African lungfish. These fish live in freshwater swamps, backwaters, and small rivers in West and South Africa. These almost comatose by choice animals have survived unchanged for nearly 400 million years and are sometimes referred to as living fossils. African lungfish have some truly interesting adaptations. They have 2 lungs and can breathe air, which in itself is rather unique for a fish. This is an important feature to their survival since they will live in floodplains in waterways that can often dry up. To make it through this life-threatening situation, the lungfish secretes a thin layer of mucus that it surrounds itself with, drying into a cocoon. They can live out of water in this cocoon for up to a year, breathing through its lungs until rains refill its waterway. The African lungfish is also a hibernating fish in the water. They dig 1 to 9 inches into the soil at the bottom of its waterway, then wiggle into the mud to create a bulb-shaped chamber, and there they rest with their nose pointed upward. Its metabolic rate slows down gradually, and the nutrients it needs to survive come from the breakdown of its muscle tissue. It can remain up to nearly 4 years in this state. You'd imagine a fish as still most of the time wouldn't be alive, but these smart creatures thrive just as well. Thank you for watching. Click here to watch another one.